Hi, I hope you are well. So today in today's video, I would like to share with you some tips as a developer. So, when you are a developer, you have to organize your day-to-day basis. So what will happen today, tomorrow, on a day-to-day, you have to prepare your workflow. And sometimes you have to prioritize a lot of different things. And indeed, it's not easy. So the first thing I would like to share with you, that helps me a lot actually when I do it, like every time I have to start a task, and usually you already have a ticket, a task. In some companies, they groom those tickets, so it's much easier. So you will groom with your team in a, they call it a agile ceremony. So during that ceremony, part of agile, so agile is like Scrum. So part of the Scrum agile methodology, you will have different ceremonies, and in one of them, you will groom the tickets. And so you will have to break down every step, everything you have to do in the ticket, part of the ticket. And sometimes you already have the solution. It's really easy. The problem has been already done for you. The investigation, if it's a spike or something else, you already know exactly how to start and in what approach you can start the problem you have to solve. Sometimes it's just a bug fix. However, in some other scenarios, you have to solve the problem by yourself. So problem solving, it's like every day constantly as a software engineer, especially when you become more senior, you have to investigate, you have to think always about how I solve that problem, and not only how I solve it, but what's the most efficient and the best way for optimization, for performance, but also for usability, for readability in your code, how I will fix that problem. There are so many different ways, and it's almost unlimited. And so the first thing you have to do is to think. So usually 90% of the time you will spend, 90% of the time will be spent for problem solving. So for solving problems simply. So you will always think about what's the best approach to solve or to fix that problem, that issue my company currently have. And then you have to, you break down and to basically investigate. Sometimes it's a spike, so you will write down exactly for you what's the best way to tackle that issue, and then you will just do the fix within a PR on, a pull request on Bitbucket, on GitLab, or on GitHub, and other people will have a look to your pull request and they will approve it or not. If you work by yourself as a freelancer, it's even much easier because you don't need to wait. Sometimes it's nice to have feedback from other people because they always think differently about how to fix a problem, but sometimes it's obvious that's the best way to fix it. And this is also why algorithm is so important. Algorithms, it's so important because it helps you to find and to have the most efficient way to fix an issue with code. And code, like programming languages are basically tools to fix and to have the best approach for solving issues in your code. So you see, every day you have so many different things you can start with. It's not easy. You have to think about the strategy, how you do it, and always what's the best approach for solving those issues. It's always hard, it's never easy, but if you are strong, if you practice doing that on day to day, like basically every day you practice doing this, it will just be a second nature for you. It will be so easy because it will be part of yourself. But the first time you have to solve a problem, like for instance, I will give you a simple example. You have a dashboard where at the moment there are a lot of data in the database, and you have a feature to export the data to CSV or to another format, let's say CSV. And for some accounts, because they have so much data, like so much users, for instance, when they want to export their data, the server is giving a timeout issue because the file and the data is too big to be exported into CSV format. So there are a lot of different ways to solve that issue. You can either export, like split the file, and so you will export small chunk of the CSV. A second approach, probably better, will be you send export it, and then on the dashboard, on the UI, it will say your data is being proceeded. You will receive an email with a download link once the data is ready, and so it will run the exportation in the background in the server when, well, basically when the server has the most resources and can do it quicker than the user waiting for it from the front end, from the client on the web browser. No, it will be done in the back end. The user won't see. The user will just wait for an email, and then once the file is ready, it will be stored as a temporary file on the server, and automatically it will trigger an email to that user account with a download link to download the CSV file. And this is definitely the most efficient way to proceed with huge data. You see, there are so many different ways you can think about problem solving. Sometimes you have to migrate from one language to another language. Sometimes it can be from one framework to a different one. Like recently, a lot of companies have been struggling about migrating from AngularJS, for instance, to React. And obviously it takes a long time. The same for JS, for JavaScript to TypeScript. And you have to see how long it will take, because you also have to update the product owner, so the PO or the PM, the product manager of your team. If you work in a team, if you're a freelancer, you have to update your client to say, oh, it will approximately take 4 months, 1 month, 2 months. Obviously, you first have to investigate, depending on the size of the code base. A lot of different factors have to be taken into account. How many libraries of Angular the project is using, because you have to take into consideration that you will have to migrate all the libraries to React, the files as well into components for Angular, the controller into components. The HTML files have to be moved to also to components, and then you will have, well, for instance, if there was CSS in a lot of style sheets, it has to be moved to style components, for instance. And you see, there are a lot of different things you have to take into account. That project have a lot of SCSS or SAS files. Okay, I will have to move into style components because that's better with React. And I know exactly what's better. There are a lot of different components, directives with Angular. Well, those files have to be moved to providers, for instance, or components, and different hooks as well when I will be using React. So you see, challenges, you have to also to update your team lead, your team leader, and other people in your organization. But this is how you will proceed in the organization of your day. So have that mindset to always be proactive and always raising new tickets if you see something is not working, creating new Confluence pages if you see there are some gaps in some information, in some knowledge, and maybe organize a chit chat. So maybe Teams or a Hangout, I mean, you know, like a conference online where you will invite your team members and they will share some issues you have, like you will share something you have done, and if you think what you will speak about have real values for your team, it's really interesting. Like for instance, recently you have been working on Cypress. It's a end-to-end integration test framework, and you share that to your team because you believe your team will be really happy to learn about it, and it will add a lot of knowledge and really good relevant information for your team members. So you see, always think what I can provide better and how my company can do better, what's not working in my organization I'm working at, and how can I make it differently. When the organization is flat, basically you can push for something to happen, and it will happen if everybody realizes, oh yeah, the old way before we were using Mocha and actually it's too heavy. Aver is probably better for testing. It's the same for PHP, like PHP Unit used to be a good framework for testing. Now probably, what's the name again? Pist framework, something like that. I always forget the name. Is really good because it's much easier to write test. I think it's pest. That PHP framework for testing. Basically they call it as a, how you call that? Well, testing. How the name is testing something. Testing framework. I think there's another name like Mocha, Aver. You have, what else you have? Wait, I will bring you with me, and so we will be able to see together. I will go to my living room. So you even, I invite you in at my place. So at the moment I live in a nice apartment, cozy apartment, although I like to be in the office because I believe I gain a lot from the culture in the office. Again, for you too, you have to know what's best for you, and that's really important. You have to be aligned in the goals and in the values you take on day-to-day basis, basically, because you change and everybody changes, and you have to be fine with the changes you do. Oh, test runner, you see, test runner, that's the one, test runner. So yeah, that's pretty much, that's what I wanted to share with you. So you just have to make sure that you are the best at organizing your day. You can use small sprints, like you can use Pomodoro. You know, Pomodoro is basically the clock. In my case, I use Forest. You also have Flora. Flora is good too, Flora. Forest is nice. You can use some tags also about what you will be doing. Like you see here, I have coding, for instance, and then I will set 100 minutes. So an hour and 40 minutes for doing a task. And I know that I split my main task into small tasks, and I will be in deep work in the zone. I will be really focused to do my task for 90 minutes, and I aim to finish it for 90 minutes or 100 minutes. Usually it's recommended 90 minutes. It's not too much, it's not too long. And you see I have also white noise. And again, then after that, after 90 minutes, you can take a small break of 5 minutes, of 10 minutes, or 15 minutes, but it's good to not check too much your emails because it might add some negative thoughts in your head. When you do the 90 minutes, it's nice to close Slack or any messaging applications at your workplace. And after the 90 minutes, once you are done, you can just have a look on Slack, take in some updates, and then you go back to work. I wish you all the best, and I hope this has been helpful for you. Just let me know your feedback. I will be so happy to learn from you, how you do it, how you organize your workflow, and see you in another video. Ciao.